Hello everyone! Today we are discussing BDK, one of my favorite niche perfume brands, and I'll review 10 perfumes in their Collection Parisienne. I'll rate them and rank them in the end, so I hope this will help you in choosing which one might be the best for you. The only one I'll review in detail is Impadia because it's a new release, but for all the other fragrances I will give you a short but detailed review, otherwise this video would be like very long. And since I had more time to test these fragrances, some of their ratings have changed. So if you want to know more about each fragrance or about my initial ratings, then I will link all the in-depth reviews down in the description box. And welcome back. My nickname is Miri, and on this channel we talk in depth about fragrances. We'll start with the newest launch, and that is Impadia, meaning Imperial Day, and it was inspired by the image of roses touched by the last rays of sun turning into a golden color before the nightfall, and that is reflected in the bottle with ombre pink-orange design. On Fragrantica, pralini aren't listed, but Jorge Fernandez, the nose behind this perfume, said that he enhanced vanilla with a creamy pralini to add delectable sweetness, so that is the reason why I will talk about pralini in the note composition. How Impadia smells? Well, the fragrance is very citrus forwarded in the opening. I get a zesty, fresh and uplifting mandarin peel bitterness mixed with a sweet, juicy, mouth-watering pear that is so ripe and sugary like it was dipped in honey. And then those citrusy, fruity accords, they mingle with the scent of sweet roses. And rose, it has some greeness coming from bergamot and also a touch of watery aspect, like its petals were beaded with morning dew, but roses still remain sweet smelling with maybe just a hint of artificial smell, although it's not off-putting to me. So the image the opening of Impadia gives me is of two lovers waiting for the sunrise in the rose garden in Paris, surrounded by the scent of sweet, slightly powdery roses with their green stems as they feed each other with canned mandarins and ripe pears. However, in maybe 5 to 6 minutes, that citrusy pear dissipates, while orange blossom now continues to add this breezy, slightly green freshness to dense roses. But orange blossoms are never as fresh and bright as citruses were in the opening. That's why the scent becomes sweeter and more powdery, with dense rose taking the center stage. And because of pralini, rose in Impadia has delectable sweetness, while milky sandalwood gives a creamy, velvety texture to full-bodied, fleshy rose petals. And if there were no woody, earthy, spicy, slightly animalic accents of akigala wood to ground that rose, the sweetness might become too much, too suffocating, but now it's a bit balanced. So the heart of Impadia smells like those two lovers remain sitting on a wooden bench in the rose garden. It's noon and they can smell carnal, dense, powdery sweetness of velvety pink roses with honeyed aspects reflecting pink tones on Impadia's flacon. The more scent dries down, the sweeter and woodier it gets, and those pale light pink roses from top and mid, now they are replaced with intense hot pink powdery roses infused with gourmand vanilla and pralini. There's nothing light or aquatic about this rose. This is a very dense, powdery, woody gourmand rose, and because it's so dense and creamy, it has powdery, pastry, cake-like facets. So the final dry down gives image of couple finishing their date in the wooden interior of a pastry shop, enjoying pralini chocolate-covered jammy rose vanilla cake as the sun sets and casts a golden glow on the rose garden they can see through the pastry shop's window. Impadia gives you the same feel you visually get when looking at the bottle. It starts with a fresh, fruity, pale rose, which gets more intense, deeper, sweeter, woodier, until it finishes with a golden, orangey glow of sunset above the rose garden. This will be a treat for rose lovers, and I think this is a very successful sweet woody rose scent that lasts and lasts. I easily get 10 hours of wear, and it's pretty strong, so it will be a compliment getter as well. And I've seen that many compare it with Guidance by Amouage. I used to have the original, but in the end I decided that the extra version is more in tune with my personality. However, I will link full in-depth review and comparison of both in the description box if you want to find out more. But even though I see some similarities between Guidance and Impadia, they aren't dupes. Both have pear in the opening, but Guidance is much more complex. It's nuttier, it has challenging notes in the opening, while Impadia, well, this is a very likable, fruity, sweet rose scent. And both are creamy and powdery, and both have akigala wood in the base, so they are woody scents with rose, but Guidance is more ambery with so many different nuances. Therefore, in my opinion, there are two different scents. So if you like an idea of Guidance, but you would like something much more simple, more likable with a ton of rose but with the same complement effect, check out Impadia. This is a very easy to wear modern rose fragrance, and because it lasts so long and it smells really good, I would rate its scent and performance with 8.5 out of 10. We started with a rose fragrance, but Impadia isn't the only rose in BDK Parfums collection. The second one is Bouquet de Hongrie, inspired by two gardens. The first one was garden of David Benedek's grandparents in Hungary, and David Benedek is the founder of BDK Parfums, so that explains the name. But because this fragrance belongs to Collection Parisienne, the second inspiration were gardens of Royal Palace in Paris, near the first store where David Benedek's grandparents were selling perfumed products. The fragrance starts with a playful, fruity, tart, greenish cocktail accentuated by hyper-feminine rose. And that combination of rose mixed with blackcurrant, pear and strawberry, to me it smells like fizzy, sweet Hungarian Tokai wine. And then in the dry down, Bouquet de Hongrie is such a pretty, soft, musky floral scent with a hint of fruity and woody notes. It always manages to smell light, fresh and clean with a pale smelling florals. So you're not getting the scent of flowers growing in front of you. It's more like a faint, sweet, fresh rose scent from the distance drifting in the air. David Benedek wanted to encapsulate a moment of his grandmother Edith Benedek getting ready for the new day in this perfume, but that is the moment all women can relate to. Imagine getting dressed up and putting makeup on in a spring morning while you can smell rose floral aromas from Royal Palace Gardens through an open balcony of your Parisian apartment. There is something so romantic, inoffensive and effortlessly pretty in this perfume. There are no sharp edges here, and it truly smells like the pale pink color of its juice. Also, it has great lasting power, like 8+, even sometimes up to 10 hours on my skin, but it doesn't really project and sillage is intimate. Still, Bouquet de Hongrie is a very versatile daytime perfume appropriate for all age groups and for all occasions, even though it has a bit of mass appealing effect and it is kind of similar to Chanel's Chanson. What I like about it is that it doesn't have any plasticky, synthetic, screechy smelling notes. It's so wonderfully done, it's effortlessly pretty, Everything is balanced, elegant, and delicate in it. So my overall rating for its scent and performance are 7.5 out of 10. And the third and final rose prominent perfume in this collection is Nuit de Sable, which name means sandy night. And that's why one of the mid notes listed for this perfume is actually a sand accord. The inspiration for it was a romantic nighttime encounter in the rose gardens of Palais Royal in Paris, with footsteps of flowers echoing on the sandy gravel. But how Nuit de Sable smells? Well, initially, I can even smell it now. You get a blast of different spices. Cardamom gives this citrusy, lemony, aromatic vibe, while nutmeg and cumin add dry, woody aroma, creating almost oriental experience and transporting you to Spice Bazaar, somewhere in the middle of a desert, because at the same time you get aromatic, woody spices mingling in the hot air with the scent of warm sand. Those fresh, woody spices from the top remain noticeable throughout the life of this perfume, but with time, spices will become softer and creamier as they blend with hot sand accord created solely for this perfume, Nuit de Sable. Sand accord in it has some mineralic saltiness, while rose, which appears more and more noticeably after half an hour of wear, well, rose here is very powdery, almost dried, and it always has a supporting role to brighten up smoldering, ashy, spicy, woody, prominent scent. This is nothing similar to sweet, lush pink rose in Impadia or the scent of light pink rose carried by the breeze you get in Bouquet de Hongrie. The heart of Nuit de Sable smells like you're making fire at night in the desert as temperatures drop down, and then you make tea from dried rose buds. The dry down of Nuit de Sable is my favorite part because now spices give more room to milky, creamy sandalwood and musky powdery rose with still noticeable sand effect. So if Stink's song Desert Rose could be bottled up, this would be the scent of it. If you would like a perfume that combines warm sand, smoky wood, dried rose petals, cold air and bits of spices, Nuit de Sable is an ideal choice. It's a different type of rose fragrance. It's semi-sweet. It has this dusty character. So yes, I can see that it might be a bit polarizing scent, but the right person will appreciate the artwork behind it. I get 6 to 8 hours of longevity with moderate projection, and if the opening wasn't so spicy and sharp and masculine, I would love it much more. That's why I dropped the initial rating for 1 point. So Nuit de Sable gets 7 out of 10. Next one is extremely popular, and that is Gris Charnel, meaning Carnal Grey. It was inspired by outdoor dance sessions on summer nights in Quai Saint-Bernard in Paris, where anyone who wants can join the dance, and those dance sessions became a setting of carnal desires between two strangers who end up waking up together in the grey, gloomy Parisian morning. This is the story behind Gris Charnel, but is the scent truly that sensual? Well, it starts not with sweet tones, but actually with aromatic green freshness resembling fig leaves or even tea leaves, but at the same time it's kind of creamy and spicy with bourbon-like quality. It smells like a cup of black tea cooling down next to a creamy, juicy, delicious fig with its leaves that was spiced with woody, smoky, earthy cardamom. In the dry down, creamy, spicy fig becomes milkier because of the sandalwood and the addition of tonka bean. So that combination of milky, woody fig with tonka, it evokes image of creamy coconut. The scent is still very woody, but Iris gives such an addictive but earthy floral facets enhanced by some smokiness from vetiver. Gris Charnel becomes a spicy, milky, earthy, woody scent with a touch of vanillic sweetness, which smells like you're sitting on a bale of fall hay on a crisp, cold gray morning and you're enjoying chai tea latte with fig jam and toasted coconut flakes. It's not surprising at all that this is so popular because it has an addictive quality, but it smells cold. It gives me an impression of cold, gray, foggy Parisian morning. So in my opinion, Gris Charnel is a unisex scent that is slightly more masculine, but a woman can wear it as well, especially if you're into fragrances such as Versace Cristal Noir, Jo Malone Miri Tonka, or Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. It has a great longevity, lasting 8 hours on my skin with moderate projection and sillage. Yes, this is a scent that smells noir and rich. It's a very unique, intriguing scent, giving a cozy autumn vibe, but because it's so complex and different, it won't be a safe blind buy, and if you're like me, you'll need several wearings to get on board with it, because I disliked it the first time I smelled it, but now it became a love, and that's why I will change my initial 8 out of 10 rating into 9 out of 10. And yes, this is a guaranteed compliment getter. This is something that slowly grew on me, because at the beginning of my fragrance journey, I loved more girly, fresh, fruity floral perfumes. But the more you dive into niche fragrances, the more you will appreciate this kind of scent. And this is a delicious, foggy, milky, smoky, woody, creamy goodness. After the original, now we need to talk about Gris Charnel Extrait. And if you want a real in-depth analysis and comparison between the original and Extrait version, check the link for this video in the description box. So, how Gris Charnel Extrait smells. It starts with a ton of aromatic green smoky cardamom. I don't smell so much black tea anymore. It just gives this smoky dark vibe, but fig, it becomes jammier and sweeter with almost tactile fig seed texture. That's why the opening is much spicier compared to the original, and it smells like a bunch of cardamom pods decorating a slice of bread with fig chutney. The scent of herbal spicy cardamom remains all the way through, but fig gets lost during the dry down, so this one is less fruity. Also, the scent becomes much woodier and sweeter because of the added vanilla. It still has traces of creamy powdery iris, but the base with patchouli gives depth and darkness together with that smoky, woody, spicy vanillic scent. It smells like a combination of pencil shavings, vanilla cream, and unlit cigar, and surprisingly, it's really good. It's intoxicating. So if you like darker, spicier, and woodier scents compared to the original, but with vanilla balancing those deep, earthy, and smoky facets, yes, this one will be a delight for your senses. That's why the Extrait is a perfect colder weather and nighttime fragrance. In my opinion, this is completely masculine, and it would smell so sexy, so intoxicating on a man's skin. It's longer lasting. I got 9 hours of wear with it on my skin, and even though it's about 90% similar to the original Gris Charnel, the note structure isn't that different, but they both give a very different feel. The original was fresher and greener in the opening, while Extrait is much spicier because you truly get a ton of cardamom here. And in the dry down, the original is milkier, it's creamier, it's fruitier, with the combination of notes that create almost coconutty flavor, while Extrait is smokier, it's woodier, it's less milky and more woody vanillic. I do enjoy it, but I don't see myself wearing it. That's why I would rate it with 8 out of 10. It's a scent that is too masculine for myself, but if I were a man, I would love this. Yes, it's not a safe blind buy, but if you're a man, you need to sniff it at least once. So, Gris Charnel Extrait is a strong, unapologetic scent that will boost your confidence. One of the fan favorites from this collection is definitely Ce Soir EDP, with interesting name which means not tonight. It was inspired by a fictional story of woman going every Thursday to the cabaret in Paris. She drinks whiskey at the bar and attracts few gazes, but when one of the men invites her to dance, she leans in and whispers to his ear, "Not tonight." And then she just walks out of the bar. This should be equally seductive, flirtatious, and alluring scent, just like that woman from its inspirational fictional story. But is that true? It opens up with almost overripe, fruity vibe from quince with some honey-like sweetness, but it doesn't smell juvenile or cheap because it has some spiciness and floral backbone underneath that initially prominent, juicy, sweet, fruity tones. Personally, I love the opening because it reminds me of my grandmother. It transports me back to my childhood and the way every room in grandma's house smelled of quinces, because back in the day in Croatia, where I live, older people would put quinces on the shelves in the closets because they would serve as natural air fresheners. So the opening smells to me like quince jam with spices, but if you didn't have the chance to try how quince smells, then the opening might smell like baked apples with spices and honey, or even pineapple-like to you, but either way, it smells delicious. And then in the dry down, Ce Soir EDP becomes more floral, it becomes woodier, while that harvest-ripe fruitiness from quince still mingles with other notes. Quince gives a cheerful, flirtatious, playful tone to elegant, poised white florals and serious, deep woody base, so that mix of sweet, ripe fruits, delicate flowers, and woody patchouli, which is extremely smooth and well blended here. It smells like flowers blooming on a warm autumn day in a window box, while the scent of making quince chutney spreads in the air from opened windows. This smells so gorgeous and pretty, but well, the performance could be better. It lasts about 5 hours on my skin with low to medium projection and sillage. However, it's an extremely well-balanced scent that never becomes sickly sweet, and that's why if you're into floral, fruity perfumes, I think this would be a relatively safe blind buy. Also, this is a spring-summer versatile scent with a very much likable, crowd-pleasing scent profile. And because of the nostalgic feel it gives me, I will rate it up by a half point. So in the end, Ce Soir EDP gets 8 out of 10. Ce Soir Extrait comes in one of the most stunning flakons I've seen. That the dark green emerald colored glass bottle is jaw-dropping, but it also foretells that this version will be a more patchouli heavy scent, fitting the color of this bottle. But how Ce Soir Extrait smells. At the initial spray, I get a spicy, crisp, syrupy pear with some mild, dusty cacao chocolatey vibe and a hint of minty patchouli in the background. In contrast to the original, where I could smell quince right away from the start, in Extrait, pear is the main fruity note, while spiciness and dusty cacao are only supporting notes. The top smells to me like juicy pear sprinkled with pepper next to a few squares of dark chocolate with mint flavor. That's why the fruits are the main focus of the Extrait version, while white flowers shine the most in the original. As Ce Soir Extrait dries down, fruity tones become less fresh and less green and more syrupy, sweet, almost stewy and jammy. Floral and woody tones of the original are toned down here, but patchouli is much more noticeable, providing a dark contrast to sweet, stewed fruits and soft florals. Patchouli gives damp, earthy, minty, herbal aroma, transforming Extra into a fruit-chuli type of scent. And that's why the dry down of Ce Soir Extrait smells like a bouquet of patchouli leaves and jasmine flowers mixed with the scent of spiced poached pears. Of course, there are other nuances here as well, but mainly what you get is a ton of syrupy, juicy pear, a lot of patchouli with woody tones and florals here and there. Extra is a fruity floral patchouli scent that feels deeper and more mysterious compared to the youthful, carefree, flirtatious character of the original. Since Abroxan is great for fixing longevity issues, you can bet that the Extra lasts. I get 8+ hours of wear. And other main differences between the original and Extra are that in the original you get quince and white floral centered perfume contrasted with woody tones, while the Extra version is a spicy, syrupy pear centered fragrance contrasted with minty patchouli. The original is much safer, it's more feminine, but the Extra is a better performer, leaning more to the unisex side. Even though I prefer the scent profile of the Eau de Parfum is more linear, while Extra is more complex and also more versatile scent you can wear regardless of the season or time of the day. That's why I would rate the scent and performance of Ce Soir Extrait with 8 out of 10. Next up is a fragrance created to commemorate the opening of the first BDK store in Paris. So the name 312 Saint-Honore is actually the boutique's address, and that is a very unique marketing idea. The scent itself is inspired by raw materials, including window glass, concrete, and white burgundy stone walls, which makes this scent into a very different, unique type of fragrance. How this concrete-inspired scent actually smells. It opens up with a kick of spiciness, mellowed by powdery iris and grounded with slightly green, earthy angelica root. The opening does justice to its inspiration. Powdery and earthy aspects in it truly imitate the stone-like quality of the walls, while sparkling pink pepper gives a glass-like effect, embodying the boutique's large windows. So in the dry down, 312 Saint-Honore is still powdery, smooth, chalk-like scent with a bit of sparkle from pink pepper and orange blossom, but the scent will become muskier, more ambery, and only slightly sweet, induced with a tinge of metallic and emetic undertones in the base. The overall smell perfectly delivers the inspirational idea. It smells like you put a white fur coat because weather got colder and you decided to visit BDK's boutique with bright white walls and ambery shelves where sparkling perfume bottles are put on the display. This is truly a niche, modern, minimalistic, smooth scent, delivering abstract mineralic texture of stone walls, but it has enough lightness coming from floral notes. This is a type of perfume you need to smell in the air and not too close on your skin, because if you smell it very close on your skin, it might feel too dense and too heavy, but in the air it floats around with such a nice, musky, powdery floral sweetness resembling contemporary dance routine. It lasts about 7 hours on my skin, longer on clothes, but after the initial hour it doesn't project anymore, so it sits very close to the skin. This is your skin but better type of perfume, so you need to like more transparent, musky, powdery perfumes to like it. But it's also a very different musky powdery scent because it gives chalk-like stone texture and vibe, so it feels contemporary and modern but elegant and confident at the same time. It's more feminine scent in my opinion. It's perfect for any daytime activity and I do enjoy its uniqueness. Overall, I would rate it with 7 out of 10. we can't skip Rouge Smoking Eau de Parfum with crimson red colored juice, which makes the scent so eye-catching, but it also imitates the red lights in the Pigalle district in Paris. The name means red tuxedo, painting a picture of a cabaret dancer in red tuxedo getting ready for her performance in Pigalle district. Every aspect of this perfume, from its name, red juice, and also from its inspiration, well, everything about it exposes a sexy aura. And that is exactly what you get with this perfume. A sensual scent that starts with a fizzy sparkling pepper refreshed with bergamot and deepened with a sweet cherry. Not a photorealistic type of cherry or even cherry candy, cherry liqueur type of scent. Cherry here is syrupy and jammy with a bit of amaretto facets, but it has a fizzy quality. So all those who say that the opening of Rouge Smoking smells like Dr. Pepper, well, they are right. The opening smells like the combination of cinnamony, peppery spices sprinkled on syrupy sweet cherries next to a glass full of fizzy bubbly cola. That citrusy, fizzy freshness helps the scent to avoid the trap of ever being too heavy or too sweet. And with time, cherry is pushed into the background. Instead, it's replaced with marshmallowy soft vanilla, enhanced with powdery heliotrope and almondy marzipan coming from tonka bean. So in the base, Rouge Smoking becomes sweeter, muskier and woodier. It's not a cherry prominent scent, but I love the gourmand edge in it that never goes into completely edible or too sugary sweet direction. This becomes a gorgeous blend of pillowy, soft, plush musk, powdery vanilla, some woody tones, and roasted almonds, giving an impression of vanilla almond cake served on a wooden plate with Christmas spices and a few cherries in the distance. This was the first BDK perfume I ever tried, and I still remember the excitement and delight the moment I smelled the decant I had. So yes, this is a love for me, and even though some may feel that Rouge Smoking Eau de Parfum is a linear scent, the transition in it from cherry spicy soda into a baked goods cherry woody vanilla is done in such a smooth and effortlessly silky way. At the beginning, it smells red like its juice, but with time it becomes more beige-like cozy scent with playful sensual side. I get about 6 hours of wear, and even though this is not a loud scent, you will get compliments on it. And I would rate its scent and performance with 8 out of 10, but if the performance was better, this would be a 10 out of 10 fragrance for me. The last one for this video is Rouge Smoking Extrait, a perfume made with impressive 30% of oil concentration, and that is also indicated by the deeper crimson red colored glass with black details. How the Extrait smells. At the initial spray, you get a bit boozy and smoky cherry, and that meaty noir smelling cherry is just slightly brightened by a shimmer of fresh citruses, while you also get leathery woodiness deep in the background. The opening smells to me like you sip a delicious fizzy boozy cocktail and then you take a bite of plump black cherry from your cocktail, enjoying the sensation of its plump sweet flesh melting in your mouth. As Extrait dries down, cherry is still noticeable, but the scent now becomes woodier, more ambery, enriched with nutty almond and milky creaminess I didn't get in the original. The milk accord here, however, it's not lactonic. Rather, it provides this certain smoothness and creaminess, softening leathery facets of saffron, sandalwood, and all other woody, oudy, darker notes. So you don't have to be afraid of oud here, because it's not animalic, it's not skanky. It's a smooth, smoky, woody smelling oud, giving depth to that sweet cherry and ambery nuttiness. In the dry down, it feels like the scent zooms out a bit from that initial experience of tasting black cherry cocktail. Imagine you're in a smoky atmosphere of cabaret, sitting on leather chairs, watching the show while chewing some almonds and drinking a cocktail with black cherries. This truly becomes a scent worthy of Pigalle District inspiration, and I love how Rouge Smoking Extrait never completely loses its fruity, cherry-esque and nutty character, but it will become darker, woodier and more leathery scent in the base compared to sweet, musky, powdery vanilla in the dry down of the original. In the original, almond give a powdery feel, while here almonds have nutty facets. The original is more gourmand, fluffier, cozier fragrance, while Extrait has sexier, darker scent profile. Also, the performance of Extrait is much better. I easily get 8 hours of wear with moderate projection. So if you would like a more unisex, colder weather nighttime fragrance with the dark, vampy, mysterious vibe that deserves 8 out of 10 for its scent and performance, then check out Rouge Smoking Extrait. If these shorter but hopefully detailed enough reviews were descriptive and helpful to you, then book the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell because that helps this video to spread to more people. After wearing and testing all 10 fragrances from Collection Parisienne, each one of them is a quality fragrance and most have a very enjoyable, likable, mass appealing scent. Some may not have the best performance and that's why some will be ranked lower than if I would just rate their scent profile. Because of that, after the ranking, I will tell you my personal favorites. On the 5th place with 7 out of 10 are 2 fragrances. The first one is Nuit de Sable, a spicy scent with a sand accord and dried roses. To me, this is a very unique approach to rose and I like it. I can appreciate it on the tester strip, but it's a bit too spicy when I wear it on my skin. And the second one is 312 Saint-Honore, a powdery chalk-like scent of stone walls. It's very interesting, it's mineralic, it's a contemporary scent. On the 4th place with 7.5 out of 10 is Bouquet de Hongrie, a lovely musky floral scent with fruity and woody tones inspired by rose gardens. The 3rd place with 8 out of 10 is shared by 5 fragrances. The first one is Gris Charnel Extrait, which is an herbal spicy cardamom with woody smoky vanilla. It's an amazing combo. It smells great, but for guys, that's why it's on the 3rd place. Then we have Ce Soir EDP, a scent of quince jam next to white flowers on a woody base. It's gorgeous, it's very likable, it's a feminine scent that has a nostalgic vibe for me. On the 3rd place is also Ce Soir Extrait, which is a pear-dominant fruity version of the original with much better performance and woody minty patchouli. On the 3rd place is also Rouge Smoking EDP, a delicious cherry that transforms into a plush, powdery, almondy, musky vanilla. And the final perfume on the 3rd place is Rouge Smoking Extrait, which is a deeper version of the original with fleshy cherries and much darker, smokier, nuttier base. The 2nd place with 8.5 out of 10 goes to the newest release, Impadia, which is a long-lasting pastry-like rose scent with sweetness from vanilla and pralini, but grounded with woods. It's a really delicious scent. It's so feminine, it's long-lasting, and it projects a lot. And the 1st place with 9 out of 10 goes to Gris Charnel EDP, a milky, creamy fig with powdery iris and smoky, earthy facets. This is something so unique. It is challenging. It's not a safe blind buy, but it has an addictive pull, and with time you will start to appreciate it more and more. And I love how it makes me feel cozy, like I want to snuggle under the warm blanket. My personal favorite favorites are Gris Charnel Eau de Parfum, Rouge Smoking Eau de Parfum, Ce Soir Eau de Parfum, and Impadia. If I didn't own Chanel's Chance Otanda, then Bouquet de Hongrie would have been on my personal favorite list as well. And as you notice, I picked more feminine fragrances from their collection as my favorites, regardless of their performance. Which one of these fragrances you like the most? Which ones aren't worth the hype in your opinion? Well, share your thoughts in the comments, and if you would like to watch another in-depth range review, then check out this video next. I will see you there. Bye!